Okay, it's 105 on the bounce. I am Lisha B from the all new Morning Rollout. And today I am going to fangirl because if you know anything about me, I'm a Broadway girl through and through. I'm a Disney nerd, a Disney adult, and we have probably one of the most iconic Disney adults. We have Fergie. Philip, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I had to bring up the fact that you're a Disney nerd because you're
Yeah,
literally living your best dreams by being
absolutely.
Beast right now and Beauty and the Beast. So first, tell me how you felt when you got the call, when you were like, yeah, I'm Beast. Like what was running through your mind?
It's funny for me because I had been in for so many Disney shows over the years that
Hmm.
I'd gotten very close between me and someone else and all these many different times that I kind of just got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like if it's not if it's meant that I just like I'm a fan of Disney and I go and appreciate the art, like I can live with that. I can accept that. But I think when I got the call, my poor agent was kind of like, "Are you happy?" I was like, "Yes," because I was in such a state of shock, I think, because it was such a the process was super long, first of all, and then I found out pretty immediately after my final callback. So one, I wasn't expecting to find out so quickly,
Wow.
and two, I was in a kind of state of surprise where I was like, wow, okay, it's happening. It's finally happening. And so it was hard to process all at once. And it took a few weeks until it really started to hit me like what I was about to go do.
So let's take it from the beginning because you just mentioned that you've technically been in some Disney adjacents. It's giving Hamilton, it's giving Camelot, it's giving, he's been around the block.
Yeah.
So, how did you first get that theater bug? Because we all have one performance that we saw or one moment where everything just clicked. What was it that made you think, okay, I'm doing this?
What's funny is that I didn't start with theater. I started with puppetry. That was kind of my big thing. Like when I was a kid, I was really into Sesame Street and I was into the
Jim
Muppets.
Henson, giving
Yeah,
little
Jim
Muppets.
Henson is my biggest and most influential artistic, leader in terms of what I look to, in terms of who I want to be and how I want to make stuff. And I think that that's kind of where I was moving. And then I started taking acting classes because in order for in order for you to be able to create these kind of iconic characters that they did, like they were really good actors first and then they learned
Right.
the puppetry skills. And so I knew that acting was something I wanted in my life. But as I was really getting into acting, um the things that really stuck out to me were when I started seeing certain things, like when I saw the Dreamgirls movie. That really was something that kind of took me out and was like, oh wow, this is such a different way to tell a story. And when I saw
Mm.
Grease, the movie, for the first time, that was another one that there were just all these different, things that really just kind of connected almost everything I wanted to do. And I think that that's how I kind of just ended up taking off in this path.
You hit on some really good ones because I mean, Dreamgirls for me, I feel like
Yeah.
the entire Black community
Oh
can
my gosh,
quote
yeah.
at least one full scene.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then Grease alone, my girl Sandy.
Iconic. I mean, I don't know. It's like, and there's so many. I mean, what I love about musical theater too is like how it's able to kind of be cross cultural. And I feel like Grease is
Mhm.
another one of those movies that a lot of black households knew Grease. Like that
Oh,
that
for
really
sure.
was the joint for a lot of us growing up. And so yeah, I know. And like I saw Grease because my mom showed it to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so yeah, musical theater was one of those things that there was just so much in it that I felt connected to inherently,
Mhm.
regardless of the fact that I wanted to be an actor. And so I think that was part of the reason it stayed with me too.
And I love that you talked about that puppetry was the first because I think one of the things that I'm really impressed by puppeteers is the ability to emote without
Yeah,
you being the emotion.
yeah,
And I think that a part of what I really, really loved about your performance in Beast is that you have all these prosthetics, you have huge hair covering you. So it's not like you can really see your face. And as someone who uses their hands and facial features are very big and like understanding what people are trying to convey, you
right.
are able to do that without having that. And you do it well.
Thank you.
Because again, we were talking offline. I was sitting in the seats like, okay, he's taking it. He's taking us for it. Act two, I don't know how I'm about to get through this right now because he
Yeah.
just sent me into the rafters and I have to come down now. How do I do that? So my question for you is Beast is physically imposing, but is like deeply a vulnerable character. Like he has a
Mhm,
lot of insecurities that he's working through literally until the very end and probably post the show.
mhm.
What emotional layers do you aim to portray? And like how do you take on such really pivotal and emotional context?
Um, well, for me, I think something that was a benefit for us was that we had the original creative team from the original Broadway production come back and do this version. And so,
Wow.
what for me, in all transparency, I was kind of like, oh, okay, great. So I guess we're just gonna have to kind of redo
Right,
what's
follow the
done
script.
before because like, hey, if it ain't broke, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm ready to kind of come in and help move that vision forward, and maybe every now and then put a little of my own spin on it. But they were so from the beginning like, nope, new version, like this is not what we used to do, so we're trying all these new things, you're a new person, like we're not trying to impose a very specific idea of who this character is. And so there were a lot of discussions about who I think the character would be. And like one of the things that I really wanted to tap into was this idea of arrested development, this idea that like he got trapped into this form when he was 16, 17. And so because of the trauma of what that did to him, both physically and emotionally, like he is stunted. And so
Yeah.
when we see him, like he really is unable to move past that.
Mhm.
And it's not until he meets Belle that it really like kind of make it's like every I think relationship that people get into where like you meet your person and all this stuff starts coming up that you're not aware of or
Yeah.
that you don't think is a problem and you're angry all the time and you're not really sure why. and and I knew that I wanted to capture the real frustration of having to sit with emotions that you don't recognize and having to
Mhm.
sit with the uncomfortability of just being yourself and how to recognize that that's enough. And I think that when you have a physical form like the beast on that, like that just amplifies it to a 10 because immediately everyone's like, well, of course he can. He looks ugly. Like, you know what I mean? And so
Right.
it's that thing where it's like, wow, what a great opportunity for me to be able to not have to work so hard because I have this physical form on me. If anything, what it made us do was go, it actually kind of funny. Like there's actually a lot of humor in it. And so how do we make those realistic moments something relatable to the audience, that it's not just pure agony and pure woe is me the whole time, and instead it's like, honestly, I'm like that too.
Your comedic timing, child. Honestly, everyone in the company is comedic
Yes.
timing,
Yeah.
especially Gaston,
Oh yeah.
LeFou,
Yeah.
whoever is playing LeFou, give him a
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I loved the fact that you were able to tackle into those comedic moments because like life isn't gloom and doom, and
Right.
you can't tell me that he's not laughing with Chip and Mrs. Potts in
Yeah.
that house at least 12 times a day.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of inner turmoil that Belle brings up because she is his mirror.
Right.
Like she's calling
Exactly.
out everything that he
Everything that
never
he does
knew.
wrong. Yeah.
So I love it. I love what you guys have played off of, and I love the new with this revival because there's new songs, there's
Yeah.
additional scenes that I think also add more to the story. Was that intentional because the story has been told so many times, or was that something that like the company just came to you and was like, "Well, we're adding this too."
Well, it's I mean, what's amazing is that like when the movie came out in 91 or 92, I believe, it was this thing where the writers Alan Menken and Howard Ashman both came from the theater. They came from musical theater. They wrote, in a very linear musical fashion, right? And so when you're making an animated film, unfortunately, due to time constraints, like you can't have all of those songs. And so one of the
Right.
really cool things was that Alan, when they were doing the Broadway production, was like, we have a lot of extra music. And I do believe that this story, especially, has the capacity for more songs, not just for the sake of more songs, but for the sake of how the story moves forward. And one of those songs was Human Again, which is
Hmm.
about the object singing about wishing to be human again. That was actually a sequence that I don't know if they animated it fully, but there were definitely sketches and they recorded it, right? And that was one of the songs that had to go to the cutting room floor. But it's one of the songs that I think emotionally captures the show so beautifully. And I think it's actually such a kind of like anchor piece for us. And I think that when going into the production, it was like, okay, great, like let's give the beast this number that he really gets to kind of like emotionally
Hmm.
really talk to the audience about how he feels right before the end of the act, so that when we come back we really are now like, we know two perspectives. And now instead of it being that we're watching somebody survive, right,
Hmm.
we're watching Belle survive, act two then becomes, well, how do these two opposites become one?
Exactly.
And I think that all of these new ideas are not to take away or change what we know of from the movie, but instead it's to deepen it and to expand it, just for us to kind of have a different relationship with it in a way that's exciting, because we know Be Our Guest, we know
Right.
Gaston, we know, some of these songs, but what becomes exciting is like, yeah, let's do a new tap section. Yeah, let's do a new mug choreography section. Like, it's just all these different things that we get to have the familiarity and the comfortability of what we love and know, and then we get to be surprised and delighted by anything that wasn't expected, but it still
Right.
has that same feeling.
Exactly, because I feel like with these Disney adaptations, whether they're movies or musicals or just plays, it's you're always going to have that core. But you
Yeah,
also want the people who have seen it for years to still feel excited at the same time. And I think
yeah,
every reaction that I saw in the house with me felt like that. From the little girls who were dressed up as Belle, really excited, to the parents who were like, "Oh, wait. This is a good time." Like literally
yeah,
a grandpa was sitting next to me and was like, "I wasn't expecting that."
yeah.
After Be My Guest, and I said, they're not coming to play with us today,
No.
okay? That's what we had to give an extra little applause
Right.
because the ensemble is really,
Oh my God.
truly an amazing, like, this is the best show that I can say is truly a true ensemble. And you can see that
Mhm.
you guys are all having fun. So
Yeah.
I know that tour is demanding, but
Yep.
like, what do you guys do to like stay grounded, to stay like, okay, we're gonna do this 8 times a week and we're gonna love it every time?
I think like you're correct. Our ensemble is just like truly magnificent. I'm in awe of them every single day. I think they're incredible performers and more importantly, incredible people. And the thing that I think is great about our company is that we have a lot of fun off stage. Like we are doing all kinds of stupid bits and all kinds of routines that nobody in the house knows about, but it's, when you're on tour, like this is the group of people that you're with all the time. You're hanging out with them, you're traveling with them, you're eating dinner with them. Like this is becomes, tours do end up becoming very family like because of the amount of time you spend together. You see them, then all of us see our real families. And so
Right.
for us, it was important that we liked each other. More importantly, it was important for us to like foster a community of support and joy, like more importantly joy. It's something that we kind of talk about a lot and something that we really try to encourage each other with. Like anytime it's before the show, people are not in the first scene, but a lot of us come to the deck, we come to the stage and just to check in and say, hey, how's it going, have a good day, good morning, all that kind of stuff, because we treat it as if it's a 9 to 5. We treat it as if it's an office job where it's like you go around the office and you go to Debbie at cubicle 3 just to make sure Debbie's doing okay and that her cat's okay, and then you go over to the water cooler, or for us the literal water cooler, to go see props and talk to Andrew. You know what I mean? So we make sure that we foster a community of not just respect and encouragement, but joy, and making sure that we actually check in on each other as human beings, especially because for the next 3 hours, we're about to just speak to each other as Mrs. Potts. And so you have to make sure that the reality of who we are as human beings is the core, and then everything else about what we do is on top of that, as
Right.
opposed to the other way around.
I think that's one of the things that I truly love being in theater is the
Mm.
behind the
Absolutely.
scenes. Everything that happens behind the scenes is probably, dare I say, better than the show.
Oh, it's
Because
it's a whole good kiki happening
because
over
the
there.
people in the wings trying to mess you up
Yes.
are gonna get me every time.
Yeah. And I mean that's the best part of this, is that when you get to a place like, for us, we're really like getting into the groove of it now, where we feel confident about our show and we know what we're able to do to be focused and do our thing. Then now
Mhm.
we can play games of like, okay, every time I exit stage, we're gonna do a different scene from a different movie. Like, we can do dumb things like that
Right,
to keep each other entertained and stuff. And as long as the work is not affected, which it never is, because everybody's such a professional,
right.
that's the best part of it, is that now we get to actually have some fun with it while we do a great job.
Have you had a moment during the show where like things just like shift where like you really feel like you're in it? Has there ever been a time where you just feel like, whoa, when you got off the stage, what was that?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite parts about being an actor, specifically like when you're doing a long running show, is when you do shows with understudies. And I think
Mm,
that like what the opportunity, and I understand people have lots of feelings when they go to see a show and they're expecting to see a person and they get that white sheet that says this person is on. I encourage you to take 5 seconds and just think, right? There was one night, the person a friend of mine was coming to see the show, and they just happened to not look in their program, and we're talking and stuff, and they said to me like, oh my god, the bell was just unbelievable, like she was so grounded and blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, that was her first time ever doing it. And he
wow.
was like, what? And he truly could not believe it, right? And he was like, I thought that's who it was. And I was like, I know, she's that good. And that's the thing that I love about understudies, is that they are still providing an unbelievable performance, and only that group of people that night get to see it. You know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
what makes theater so incredible and so special. And for me, what I love is that like we have a company of brilliant dancers and singers, but a company of brilliant actors too. And the thing that really excites me about that is that when we have different Lumieres, when we have different Gastons, when we have different, everyone has their own spin and their own take on it. And so it requires me as an actor to go, okay, I can't do the show that I usually do. I actually have to respond to what's being given to me. And that's actually really fun. I love it so
Exactly.
much. I have to really like pay attention, and I really have to be grounded and make sure that what's happening here is truthful. And it's almost like improv in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
And something really like that, that is the most exciting part. And there was one scene I did with one of our one actually this happened with both of our bell covers, where like I did the scene, and just because they said it differently, it hit me differently. And I was like, I have never like seen that kind of feeling in this scene before. And
Right.
it's incredible. It's truly incredible.
I will be the person on the hill singing the highest praises for studies and swings. Like,
Yeah.
I've been in situations where my scene partner had 2 hours to get it together, and that was it.
Exactly.
And they've never
Exactly.
done a rehearsal. Like they
Mhm.
been there, but there was no put in.
No,
Like
right.
this was it. This was showtime, and it was the best show of
The
that week.
energy is through the roof. It like there's never been a time where an understudy has gone on and there is not this like incredible energy that is on stage that's like,
Hmm.
oh my God, we are like, this is so different and we're gonna do it. And there's
Right.
and talk about community. When people rally together to make sure that that person is safe and to make sure that the
Exactly.
person has a successful show, like that is the spirit of theater. That right there.
Literally. And that's why whenever people have those nasty comments when they do see that white paper, I'm like, y'all don't understand.
Yeah, yeah,
They are doing the work of at least 8 people
correct.
because most of them are not covering just one person.
Nope.
They're covering at least
They're
maybe three
covering
to
at
four.
least four. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like that you should be giving them standing ovations every time they walk out on that stage.
Correct.
And I
Correct.
and I love that you make it a point to share that appreciation not only with understudies but with your entire ensemble. Like in this interview alone, you've shared so much love to your cast and the company, and I think it shows on stage, especially from what I've seen. You
Yeah,
can obviously tell that you guys all like each other and it's not just a game.
very much so. Yeah, it's a good company of people. Very, very good company of people.
So when you have kids and family members in the audience, what do you want them to leave with as you being Beast?
I think for me, and to get real, like the thing that really gets me every time is when I see Black kids in the audience, and I think the thing that it strikes me as is the amount of possibility they receive subconsciously is I think the thing that gets me emotional, is that it's like, wow, it's not even a matter of, oh look, I'm seeing myself. It's just it becomes, oh, I'm just seeing him.
Yeah.
And there isn't a profound explosion of I've never gotten to, because they're so young.
Mhm.
Because it starts so young, that now becomes a standard. And I think that is the thing that for me is incredibly important, of
Mhm.
that we can actually raise standards from a younger perspective, so that way when they get older, it's no longer a standard, it's just the way. And
Right.
I think that what is exciting to me with parents is parents getting to be able to feel that too. There's nothing that cracks me up more than when I meet Black parents at the stage door and they're just like, I did not, I didn't, I'm sorry, but I'm like, I know. It's okay. I get it. Trust and believe. I get it. You know, I understand it, and it's emotional. It's overwhelming, especially because a lot of these parents grew up with this movie, and so
Right.
you know, a lot of us, especially people in the culture, have had to accept like most of my favorite films portray white people as the romantic leads and the people who get to be the catalyst of their own story. I
Mhm.
didn't grow up with a lot of movies where Black people were that, and
Right.
so when you get to see the spin of that, it's not even just a moment of like, oh, I didn't even imagine it was, oh, it should have always been. Okay, great. There's almost this sense of relief of like, oh, right, like we're just here. We're just
Hmm.
humans and we're just together. And it's something that like Disney and I have been very intentional about touching on in terms of like how we're moving, especially because we're traveling the country,
Right.
and I think that for us, like we were very smart about figuring out like yeah, like when we're in certain markets, like we're going to make sure that we're connecting with these members of the community so that they know that like it is for everybody.
Right.
It's for all of us, you know what I mean, regardless if I'm playing the beast or not. My two understudies are not Black, but even if they're on, it's still for you too, you know what I
Right.
mean. And so I'm hoping that anybody that comes to see the show can just see that like it's a story about all of us. It's a story about everybody who's in that room.
Hmm.
You have an uncle that is Cogsworth. You have a grandma that's
Yep.
Potts. You have a really annoying neighbor that's Gaston. You know what I mean? Like we all have these people in our lives, and the goal is to be able to connect those ideas through this very grand and fabulous show that we have. But the core is still humanity, and that's what makes Disney and
Mhm.
specifically Being the Beast like so powerful.
And I love that you said humanity because I think as someone watching the show and obviously taking in that one of the leads is a person of color, I think the show just hits different for me because there's so many similarities
Um,
between what we have to deal with and what Beast has to deal with. I think that's why Wicked is such a phenomenon, not just because it's not just a great show, but I think having Cynthia in that role
it
with
changes.
everything that she's saying, obviously anyone can play Elphaba. It's been done.
Yeah,
But it's hit so much more for our community and I think that that allows people to get into theater more because it's like,
absolutely.
"Oh, okay,
Yeah,
this story is me and I can see me this time. It's
yeah,
not just, oh, I understand what that man is going through. No, no, I see my brother. I see my cousin.
yes,
I see
yes,
me.
yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
what advice do you have for young actors of color who want to be like you one day?
Oh my gosh. I always say read, watch, listen to everything. That's like my goal is that like, for me, I'm a research guy. I love, I'm always listening to a podcast of a different director, a different actor, a different creator. I'm reading all the time, different books, but also it's not just about, researching different musicals and TV shows and films and stuff. Like it's about everything, learn about, um, architecture, learn about philosophy, learn about language, learn about poetics, learn about language. Like it's just like you're taking in as much information as possible. Our job as actors is to reflect the world that we exist in so that people can receive it in a way that they haven't thought of before.
Right.
So we have to be able to take in as much of the world as we can. You're not going to learn everything in your lifetime, but you're going to need to learn a lot.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the first step. The more perspective you have, the more you're able to portray.
And I
Um,
think that's a good thing because I think a lot of people just are worried about the memorization and like the
yeah,
repetition, which is good
very
because
real.
you need that. But
Yeah,
I think you identifying perspective and surrounding yourself with different cultures and different outlets, whether you only like musicals, maybe check out a play
check out a
because you
play.
can
Yeah.
you can pull from so many avenues and clearly your research has done you well. So I'm excited to see what's next for you, Mr. Fergie. And just one last question for you. Looking
Yes.
back at your journey to this point, is
Mhm.
there one risk that you took or one that you wish that you took that made a real difference in where you are today?
Oh my God, what an excellent question. Um, I when I was doing this very tiny show called Hamilton, I had gotten to a point, I'd done it for about a year and a half on the road. And by this point, I had done it over 2 years on Broadway, right? Yes, over 2 years on Broadway. And I loved the show. I loved it. I loved everything about it. Performing in it was like everything artistically I ever wanted. But I knew it was time to move on. And I knew
Mm.
that like the safety of the family that I had built at that show, the notoriety that it gave to me by being in that show, and also just like, the security I had being in that show, um, I knew it would be easy for me to kind of rest on my laurels. And so for me, I took the risk and decided to leave early before I knew of any jobs coming my way.
Wow.
I was like, at this day, I'm going to leave and I need to kind of take the jump. Um, Unfortunately, within a few months, I was able to get my next job, which ended up being Camelot, and I started it literally the day after I left with the show.
I know that's right.
Um, but yeah, I had chosen that. I think was like a huge risk that I'm glad I took, because I knew that it was time, and it was terrifying. But I also knew that I wanted to leave while I still loved it, and I wanted to leave in a place of, okay, I'm taking a risk, not I'm leaving because I have to. You know what I mean? I wanted
Mhm.
to be able to leave knowing that it was a risk,
Yeah.
and it put me through hardship, and hardship that I needed to go through, and it always will. But yeah, that was a big
I say the risk was definitely well done. And
one.
I get it. Sometimes you don't know why you need to leap,
Yep,
but if you don't, you're gonna regret it.
you're gonna
So
regret
it's
it.
always smart, even if you don't know why, if something's telling you to go, it's
Yep,
probably for a good reason.
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Fergie.
Thank
Again,
you.
you are an incredible beast.
Thank you.
Keep slaying the house down, please.
Nice shot.
They
Thank
will
you.
still be at Fisher Theater until October 12th. So grab your tickets right now, BroadwayInDetroit.com, and go see Fergie as Beast and Beauty and the Beast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.